Hello, my name is Pu, and my team member is Afshan, Bingbing, Eritigo, Yang, and Muzil. So today we are going to talk about how important leadership in a company. So our group are aimed to Saudi Arabian oil company and its CEO. And let's talk about some background about Saudi Arabian oil company, known as Saudi Aramco. It is a national oil company of Saudi Arabia. So the company owns the world's largest onshore field, the Ghawar oil field, and the largest offshore field, the Safaniya oil field. It is currently the world's largest oil company in terms of proven reserves and is headquartered in Dhahran. And so that's okay. Thank you. The current chairman is Amin H. Nasser, and Nasser holds a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from the King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals in Dhahran. Sorry, and he completed the Saudi Aramco Management Development Seminar in Washington D.C. in 1999, and the Saudi Aramco Global Business Program in 2000, and the senior executing program at Columbia University in 2002. So for now, the world and the world energy crisis has been accelerated by the crisis in Ukraine. So Nasser said at the CERA Week Energy Conference in the Ukraine crisis has highlighted the weakness of the global buffer and against the supply disruptions and the limited production capacity available to ease oil supply shortages. And with global effective idle capacity at 2 million barrels per day, equivalent to around 2% of global daily demand before the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, this is all of my part. Next, Jabo will discuss leadership practice on organization. Thank you.
Thanks to Pu for the presentation. My name is Zhang Jiabao. I will talk about the presentation, the practice of leadership in an organization. There are three parts. The first part is the definition of leadership. The second part is the what role does the leader play in a company. And the third part is how the leader practice in the team. And leadership refer to the ability to make full use of human resource and adaptive condition with jurisdiction to accomplish the required things at the least cost to improve the efficiency of the entire group. Leadership is a temperament infiltrated by people in the workplace, while leadership right graded by the outside world. Leadership is the art of how to a person, not the art of how to do things. Ultimately, the ability of leader is determined by the quality and the personality of the individual. And part two is what is the role of leadership in the company? Leader generally plays three roles in a team: completing the work, building the team, and cultivating talent. And three part is how leader join with team. Leaders need to be decision what's making decision. After making this decision, you should tell everyone the reason for such a decision. If the decision fall, you must dare to take responsibility and do not think any objective condition. Dare to criticize and self-criticize, very important and very effective. And finally, leaders should communicate patiently at work. Communication is a shortcut to reach out consensus and communication is the foundation of all management. A leader who knows how to communicate will make team members feel comfortable and coordination at work. A leader who is willing to communicate will make team member take the initiative to think about it and solve problem. Maybe communication. Everyone can, but whether there is patience, whether there is enough patience, it is not necessary. That patience of the leader is often an invisible language, inspiring everyone, comforting everyone, and agree with everyone. The leader's patience will increase the team members' chance of empathize for the leader and will increase more understanding. This is my speech, and the next part is a speech by my group member Binbin. Thank you.
Thanks for the Jiabao speech. I'm Bingbing Huang. Let's begin my part. Nestle leads a company which is now building on its upstream leadership position by expanding its presence in the downstream and the chemicals segments of the petroleum value chain, with significant investments and joint venture partnership in the kingdom as well as a number of overseas markets. Nether's activity involved in professional and society activities focus on the advancement of education, people and technology developments. He is a longtime member of the Society of Petroleum Engineer and has served on SPE Industry Advisory Council since 2008. He is the 2050 recipient of the SPE Charles F. Round Memorial Gold Medal awarded for distinguished achievement in mining administration, including meteorite and petroleum. NASA is leading Sadio Aramco's efforts to produce cleaner energy and products through investment in promising technologies such as next-generation fuel engine interfaces, crude oil to chemicals process, and renewable energy applications. Startups focus on cleaner energy solutions, and the industry-wide efforts to minimize greenhouse gas emissions, such as oil and gas climate innovative. He is also an advocate for an efficient, accessible, and world-class supply chain ecosystem that include small and to medium-sized enterprises to support Saudi Aramco's green procurement needs. Um, that's all my speech. Now welcome to Asha to speech. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Afshan and I'll be taking you through the leadership style. Amin Nasir has spent the last 30 plus years within Saudi Aramco, building his career to eventually become the CEO. Within these years, he's overseen multiple examples of what a true leader should look like because the company has a history for exceptional leadership. Amin himself has inherited the humanistic leadership style of his previous superiors. The psychology behind this leadership style is that employees are approached in a way of encouragement, comfort, kindness, empathy, and continuous motivation. This leadership style, like any other, has its advantages and disadvantages, which we'll now be exploring further. The key advantages consist of the following: motivation. It's evident that employee behavior depends heavily on how they're motivated and encouraged at work. When companies lack this, employees are more likely to do the bare minimum that they can for the job. However, in this case, when they're constantly encouraged and motivated, they want to go above and beyond for the company and for their job. Safe at work. Many have problems outside of work, which can be even more difficult when they don't have good leadership at work. However, when employees are individually supported by their leader, they're more likely to focus more on their work because they see work as an escape from reality. And lastly, teamwork. When individuals are treated equally, they're more likely to form a union with one another because they see each other as a team and as the same. So when they form teams to complete a task, they're more efficient and more understanding with each other, which is better for the company. As for the disadvantages, this leadership style can be too trusting sometimes as individuals take advantage of it, and they may lead other individuals to join in on that path. This leads me to the next point of less authority. When individuals are able to go on the wrong path because the employee is too trusting, they may have less authority over their team and over their staff. This can also lead to them not being able to complete tasks because they see their leader as a friend and not as a superior. And lastly, difficulty keeping up. When behavior as such occurs in the workplace, it may be difficult for the leader to keep up with the humanistic leadership style, as employees will go astray, and therefore when they're forced to implement stricter rules in the workplace and maybe change a different leadership style, employees will not like this, they won't appreciate it, and they may even leave the company because of these drastic changes. Thank you. That's all for my part. Next, Thiago will be taking you to the next stage.
Thank you, Hafshan. Yeah, Hafshan has said a lot about the style of the leadership, but we're not talking about the impact of the transactional and transformational leadership of Amin in Aramco company. As we all know, the leadership of an organization, we have a negative or positive impact on the organization, depending on the style of the leader. Thinking of the transactional leadership of Amin in Aramco, his reward system empowers employees to build academic and career growth. He motivates them and encourages the staff. Yeah, it's very good because the effect of this is that the company was able to improve more on their innovation and productivity. When we talk of his transformational aspect of his leadership, the innovation aspect and the productivity aspect of the company helps them to have an edge in the oil company. They are one of the leading company in our oil industry. Another point I'll emphasize is the staff and employee are more competent and committed to the organizational goal, which really will help the organization to grow, and it will help them to achieve their objective as an organization. He has a very strong technical skill. His years of experiences also help him to enhance his employee through his training and education and many other things. And this also will bring a positive effect back on the organization. And I think his transformational and transactional leadership has really helped and impacted the organization positively. I will now hand over to the next speaker.
So I'm going to tell you more about ethical dilemma and leadership and how does it stick together. So we can define ethical dilemma in very similar ways, but one of these definitions is that it's a problem in the decision-making process between two possible options, neither of which is absolutely acceptable from an ethical perspective. Although we face many ethical and moral problems in our lives, most of them come with relatively straightforward solutions. And how does ethical dilemma stick with leadership? Well, leadership or leaders, by definition, seek to bring about change. This means their decisions will affect other people. So most of their decisions have an ethical component, even if a small one. On our next slide, we will talk about example from real life of Saudi Aramco company and how the leader tried to resolve it. Saudi Aramco is the biggest company in oil and gas industry in the world. That is why it's also one of the biggest producers of CO2 emissions, and due to this fact, company has received 78 records about environmental violation, and just since 2000 till now had to pay almost $178 million. Current CEO leader Emin Ejnesser could save more money due to these penalties, but he did the total opposite, and because of his leadership style, he suggested to board to invest even more money. That's why next decade is Saudi Aramco going to invest $300 billion. Money will serve for innovation and make better technology to make the use of ultra clean oil, as well as overcome the challenges faced by alternatives, and last but not least, helping to reduce emissions. Focusing on consumption and not production to reduce emissions. It was one of his, for some people, criticized and for others people, popular sentence. What it means if we focus more on saving and using fuel properly and not wasting so much, we would not have to focus so much energy on reducing emissions. We mentioned just few examples which have helped this person being a great leader due to size of the firm and actions he has made during his career. Thank you. That would be all. And now we'll continue my next classmate, Munzil.
Thank you, Jan. So for the conclusion and recommendation, I'll be focused on three parts. It's the transactional leadership, transformational leadership, and lastly, the ethical dilemma. Regarding the transformational leadership, the conclusion is that doing transformational leadership can cause a burnout because the leader will force all the employees who are capable or not to reach the objective that the leadership demand, even though the objective is really high. And for the transactional leadership, it's offer a double-edged sword, which means that where transactional leadership work giving reward for people who are doing well, but it punishes people who are not doing well. And for the last one is the ethical dilemma. Is the leader is admitting mistake often show honest side, which show a good benefit for the public and for the stakeholder. For the recommendation regarding transformational is to less high demand for the employee in order to reduce stress and burnout for employees. And for the transactional is to provide less harmful punishment, so in order to make people employee who are not capable to try again and doing their best. And lastly, for the ethical dilemma, is not being too honest because a rival company can use these mistakes as a bad mouth regarding the company. And that's all for my part. Thank you for listening to this presentation. And yes, that's all.